Derrick, if you look at the new funding model, I wonder what's the rush to implement it, and it has so many complications.
If you compare the social and the economic side, as the Finance Act 2023 equitably addressed both ends.
I think in the health sector and education sector,
Yeah.
the finance bill has done it so good, but the implementation is the problem.
What is your take or what is your advisor to young people on matters to do with, let's say, legality in this country?
Most Kenyans who are at the younger age, they rarely engage in these matters.
Yeah.
I'll ask them to start focusing and following up these issues. There are platforms, online X spaces, in parliament forums. They have to join them and participate fully on their issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the King's Lounge. As you know, this is the home of where boldness meets a seasoned vibrancy. This is the Sphere production, and every day of the week, you know, you have to sit down and have a conversation with none other than the King himself. Now, today I'm joined by a very, how do I say, passionate and dedicated young man whom I knew when I joined Pwan University, but he has completed his studies. He mentored me in several places, in debates, in politics and leadership. We have interacted on several platforms. Today I'm joined by Jackson Mannasseh, but I personally call him Honorable Jackson because he said he wants to become the senator. Uko kwao Kisii, unajua Kisii kuna, acha nisiseme, let me leave that there. Today we want to talk about the Finance Act 2024. After the finance bill failed, according to the Kenyan Gazette, there is usually a Finance Act that has to be implemented if a bill fails. The Finance Act was upheld by the Supreme Court, but we don't know the fate of the finance bill because it was taken back to the parliament for discussion. The young man I'm joined with is the former Pwan University Debate Club coordinator, former Pwan University chairperson for the Red Cross Pwani chapter. He's also the former chairperson of class reps in Pwan University. I guess that is the year 2023. They're done with studies. And also he's an advocate for the boy-child welfare. Currently, he's working in the private sector on matters to do with the mental health. Kama mna shida za mental health, he'll leave you his contact and you can contact him. Now, without much further ado, it's time for us to get into this conversation. Remember to join our family by hitting that subscribe button, sharing our videos, and let's share this knowledge out there. Let's get the views of young people on matters to do with the Finance Act. Karibu sana. Now, karibu sana mheshimiwa.
Thank you so
Ama
much.
change title. Unajua maybe ambitions ziliisha.
No, I'm still mheshimiwa. Actually, I get more passionate every day, and I think in the next few years, or if not months, if we go for elections in the near future, I will be a real mheshimiwa actually.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, today we want to talk about the Finance Act 2024. I know you have heard about it since you are into politics. Ni vitu zenye mnaenda kutupitishia bunge. Let's begin with understanding this act. Have you personally gotten a chance to go through the Finance Act 2024, and what are your initial thoughts on it?
I've looked at it, and I think if I have to be in a summary, it has better things and bad things as well. So if I have to pick one of the best things I look at it is that there is some part that talks about revision of income tax rates, whereby those people with high salaries are going to be taxed more than those who are going to earn less. So that one for the lower income earners is a bit fair compared to those who will be earning more, so that one brings actually a kind of equilibrium in social contribution. Again, there is an aspect of incorporate tax, whereby they are suggesting something to do with reducing or incentivizing the corporates that are going to hire the young people. So you see that one, if at all it's amended well, it might help the young people to get job markets and those young entrepreneurs who are willing to start up a business. I think for that is another fair article in finance bill. But again, I must comment on the negative side of that act because they are again proposing the VAT from 14 to 16%, and that one will generally hike the prices of common goods every day
in the market.
in the market.
So basically, the day in, day out life is going to be difficult.
Yes, very, very difficult unless it's uh, acted upon by the law. If we go to court and ask uh, for some articles to be deleted, because already I see our parliament, we don't have trust with our parliament.
Yeah.
We don't see any change in it. It's going to be the law in the next few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there is the economic impact this has, and in the country currently, youth are facing something called unemployment. We have so many graduates, but there are, I can say, minimal jobs, and that is what made young people to go into the streets to battle against the finance bill, because they are so well educated, they go through these things and they get it. But if you check on the Finance Act 2023, how will it affect the job market for young people, those who are transiting from campus and those who are already in the field looking for jobs?
Actually, the Finance Bill 2023, in terms of economic impact,
Yeah.
it is going to impact a lot, especially to the young people, because there is some 3 or 4 areas that I see it's going to bring a lot of impact, especially to the young people. For example, the housing levy. You see, the housing levy, it's designed in a way that it deducts for every person, whether you're earning 1,000 shilling, whether you're earning 10,000 shilling, whether you're earning 500,000 shilling, you are still going to contribute 1.5%
To the housing levy.
housing levy. And this housing levy, there is nowhere that you're going to claim for a house. There is no clear illustration on who is going to get this house. And it doesn't even exempt those living with disabilities. As long as you are paid, you must pay for housing levy. So you see, for young people who are only paid,
Yeah.
and again you are deducting 1.5% from their gross salary, you're going to affect them, and these houses are going they are not going to benefit them, because initially, whether you have a house, whether you don't have a house, whether you have a mortgage, whether you don't, you are going to pay for housing levy. That is one. Two, we have the income tax rate revised, whereby the higher paid persons are going to pay roughly high compared to the lower paid. For example, if you are paid around 500,000 shilling, between 500,000 and 800, you're supposed to pay 32.5%. And those who are
Of your
paid
income tax.
yes, and those who are paid more than 800,000 shilling, they are going to pay 5% of their income tax. But these others, they are going to be fairly charged compared to before. So I think that one is going to help the young professionals who are going to join the job market
Yeah.
to at least have a disposable tax to their home. And this one will help them to save or maybe buy commodities in the markets. But suppose now a young person secures a job that is going to be paid higher.
Yeah.
For the beginning, they are going to suffer because they are going to experience the high taxations. Another aspect is the DCAT, Digital Service Tax. This one is going to affect the young persons because this one is taxing the foreign companies that are providing online services. For example, the streaming companies like Netflix
Yeah.
is subject to be taxed higher. And these services, you see, the young people uses them most.
Also, YouTube is going to be taxed higher.
Yes.
That means content creators are going to be taxed.
Yes. So when they are taxed, it means their survival in the industry is very minimal. And those who are wishing to start, they may not start.
So literally they have just it means they have camouflaged the content creators taxation into the Finance Act bill.
Yes. And Derrick, if you look at the digital service tax
Yeah.
keenly, they're even taxing things that you have not used. For example, if I have to mention the betting industry,
Yeah.
you as a user, you're going to be taxed before you bet and after you have won. So that is how serious it is. So whether you are going to win or lose,
not.
already you will pay a tax.
For doing that.
Yes.
Maybe it's a way of ending in gambling.
No, it's a way of ending gambling, but it's a means of getting money to the young people. We don't have jobs. Young people are trying to find a way to get something to their disposal. But these things they're trying, you're actually saying they're not good for us. So what is good for the young people?
And they can't create employment.
They can't create employment. They have not, actually, they have disabled the environment of investors. Because I'm assuming if I wanted to start off a betting company today, I won't.
Because of the high taxation.
Yes.
So investors are scared away.
Are very much scared.
We have given us an insight into the economic impact the Finance Act 2023 has on the economic side, especially on the investors, the job market. Now there is the social side. If you compare the social and the economic side, has the Finance Act 2023 equitably addressed both ends?
I think it has tried, but not equitable, because on the social aspects, there are less addresses on the social aspect. For example, they are only focusing on the housing levy. You see, they are trying to look at how we can get better houses to most of the Kenyans. But these houses, again, they have not been slated on who is going to get these houses, how we are going to distribute them, and when are we going to distribute them. So it's a point blank that they have addressed the social aspect, but I don't see whether it is going to make any sense. And again, there is a small emphasis on how we can contribute equally, so that we bring the social contribution equal. This is affecting a few people. For example, those people who earn above 500,000 shilling, they are very few.
Yeah, literally, they're very few.
So when you are talking about taxing them high, they might not invest. So when they are not investing, we are losing as the majority.
Yeah.
So again, I don't see it is well addressed.
How might the Finance Act 2023 affect access to education, health care services, social services for young people and even the elderly people in the society?
So I think in the health sector and education sector, the finance bill has done it so good, but the implementation is the problem, because there is so much money that has been allocated to the health sector, to education sector, especially they are addressing the sending money to vocational trainings so that we can start off development skills to the young people. You see, if this is well implemented, that vocational trainings will offer programs that are going to nurture the young people to the market. But you see now, since 2023 finance bill was done the law, we have not seen the vocational trainings active. In fact, it's the other day the president was confirming to us that he is launching the ICT hubs to all vocational training centers.
Meaning the ICT hubs were not there,
They were not there.
despite them saying they are there.
They were never there.
And the chances are they will never be there.
Chances may they will never be there. And if they will be there, they'll be just for showcasing.
You know, I've been following this lawyer who is busy bringing out projects the president launched.
Yeah,
And
I have seen him. I think it's called Kevaso.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I'm really worried if we are going to launch the ICT hubs. I think one of the things the president is messing with that he shouldn't mess with is the education system of a country.
He has messed with the education systems. Because right now we have a conversation ongoing about the new funding model to the university program.
Yeah.
Derrick, I want you to imagine how terrible it is if a president has to spend time in whole towns explaining what the new model of funding is when the Minister for Education, the PS, cannot even explain them. So are we having a one-man government show? So, Derrick, if you look at the new funding model, I wonder what's the rush to implement it, and it has so many complications. First, we have increment of school fees, whereby the initial school fees, for example, in a course in Pwani, of which I did archaeology, was costing 49,000 per year. But currently, it is costing 181 per year. And the government is talking about giving out scholarship and loans. You see, scholarship already, this is due to the increment of the school fees. So why are we increasing the fees before we bring it to the lower students? You see, generally in Kenya, we are poor, most of us. Students from the higher population, we are poor. So when you talk about in incentives like scholarship, it means you have preserved education to those
who can access it.
Because suppose now one day the government is unable to provide these scholarships, students will not proceed, especially those who are depending on it.
You know, the issue of scholarship reminds me what happened in Kilifi, where the governor launched a full scholarship program for students going to national schools. And they gave out a lot of money that day.
Yes.
And right now, there is no money for these students to go back in for that term.
So what will happen to those students?
They'll just be at home. And yesterday I was listening to the women rep speak, and she says that it's really hard to follow up that students who receive scholarship, umepewa scholarship ya 5,000, 7,000, 3,000, even some get a scholarship of 1,000 shillings. How sure are you that this scholarship has helped these students, that they have completed the education till 4th year or till Form 4? So the issue of scholarships, that's why they were saying that let's merge all these things. Kuna story ya NGAF, there is no NGAF bursaries, there is no CDF bursaries, there is no presidential bursaries into one thing, then make education free.
Yeah, because you see, scholarships will stop one day. Because how sustainable is this funding model? How is it promising that our economy will sustain these scholarships from the government? Suppose in the next 2-3 years, the government is unable to provide these scholarships, and yet the school fees has been increased. So it means the only students who can access education are those from the wealthier families. And in fact, this has brought the aspect of classism in the student center. Because now we have the issues of bands. The band has categorized the students based on their parents' income. So already we are not equal, because I cannot pay 100,000 for the course that you are paying 5,000 shilling. We cannot be equal, because already I am in a different class.
In Africa, we have always been categorized. If you're very keen from primary school, kuna kwanga na top 10, bottom 10, based in this subject, based in this subject, and it really affects students across Africa. It's not only in Kenya, but Kenya now they have intensified it, that even right now, even in paying your fees, you have to be categorized.
Yes, you see, we used to know that education is an equalizer, whereby I can go to class with a president's son
Yeah.
We pay the same school fees regardless. You see, for
And then
me,
they say the uniform makes you equal now.
but it cannot be equal anymore because already we are now categorized in terms of school payment. So if I have to pay 100,000 for a course that you are paying 500 shillings,
Yeah.
how are we equal?
All I can say, or what the government should tell people is what was the problem with the old funding model, and if the constitution says that information is absolutely free in this country, why are you charging Kenyans to access the same information, and yet we Kenyans are still the taxpayers to the government to access any government services. As we end this, uh, the Finance Act 2023 was rejected in the National Assembly. I guess it was taken to the Court of Appeal. The
Yes.
Court of Appeal upheld the decision. Then the Supreme Court said the Finance Act should proceed. Do you think that was a legally right decision by the Chief Justice?
I think there is a conflict of interest between these arms of government,
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't feel their decisions are ever independent. They try to outdo the other, especially when a decision has been made by one arm and is rejected by another. I don't think it brings a good picture based on the impact that it brings
Yeah.
to the trust of the common mwananchi. The trust is the most important in this case.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, it's already there. It might pass because we know in Kenya there is a people wenye nchi na mwananchi.
Yes.
So the Finance Act may be upheld for the next, let's say, one fiscal year for Kenya. Now, how do you see the long-term effects of the Finance Act 2023 on the Kenyan economy and the society? Do you think that this thing might lead to the growth of Kenya when at first, when you could listen to the president speak about the former finance bill with the taxation and the debts and all that, you could see there is a future in this thing. But later, when you sit down and rethink and also check on the trust between the citizen and the government itself, you realize that that thing cannot work. Do you think this will help this country grow?
I think it's all based on the trust between the citizens and the government in all these things.
Yeah.
Because one is the government implementing what it has promised. Two, the citizens supporting the government in implementation of this whole idea of the Finance Act. So I think it's a risk that we have to wait and see what happens. But following the previous Finance Acts, I see it dysfunctional and will never help any citizen of Kenya because much is wasted than how is spent.
Your last words to young people on matters to do with the bills they are passing in Parliament, the Finance Act itself, economy, and leadership, and everything in this country. Maybe what will you tell young people to do to follow up on these bills? What will you tell young people to do on matters to do with the Finance Act and generally on matters to do with the leadership they are electing into power?
My last words, Derrick, to the young people, especially on the legality of these finance acts, finance bills, is that most Kenyans who are at the younger age, they rarely engage in these matters.
Yeah.
I'll ask them to start focusing and following up these issues. There are platforms, online X spaces, in parliament forums. They have to join them and participate fully on their issues. On the issue on managing the economy and leadership, I think the young people should now focus in involving themselves in financing initiative programs, financial literacy programs, and then again, this will help them actually learn on how to manage their finances based on the rising economy. And as well, they need to be careful on who they elect. Most Kenyans are deceived by small coins to elect people. Let us now do away with the coins votes and do the votes of ideas. Tell me what you can do. Convince me by force of reason and not because you belong to a given community or a given collision.
Yeah.
And lastly is that it is only us who can deal with this country. Otherwise, if we give up and leave it to the people who have already exhausted their energy,
Yeah.
we might not be able to sustain even our survival. You see, when you are in the survival mode, it's very dangerous because you can only get what is available, but not what you want.
Yeah.
Let us shape this economy so that we can get what we want instead of getting what is available.
And up to that point, I want to appreciate you for taking nearly an hour or so to sit down with us, have this conversation. And on that note, you said you deal with mental health.
Yes.
Someone may be in Kilifi and want to access you guys. Where are you guys located?
We are located at the Kilifi plantation, where we are working with Paula Walters, whereby we are dealing with mental issues that are related to early childhood trauma.
Okay.
And we actually even deal with the PTSD to all genders, all age brackets.
Yeah.
We issue and offer services at a very fair price based on how you will explain yourself. Besides that, I'm also an emergency healthcare provider. In case of any emergency, we just expect a call away. You can call the ambulances that are within Kilifi by dialing 1199. That is for Kenya Red Cross. We have the Kilifi County Emergency Department, whereby it has 1535 as an emergency number. You will just find us. Otherwise, I appreciate every time and everybody who has taken their time to listen to us. Until next time, see you guys.
My question remains to the president. If this thing you have brought to this country is really gonna work, why are you traveling across the country trying to convince the citizens that this thing is legal? If something is really legal or is gonna work, it has to convince people on its own that it's gonna work. You have the cabinet secretary for education and he's a public or a permanent secretary. Why aren't they helping you explain the funding model? This tells us one thing, that the idea is with you, and the people in your government know nothing about that idea, so they don't know whether the idea will work or not. And if you're bringing us to the idea of the new funding model, where is the loophole in the old funding model that you have to scrap it away and bring the new funding model? My name is Mwavali, Derrick Dangote. This has been the King's Launch right in the Sphere Production. Still meet again. Have yourselves a lovely week.